Hello, AIA Economics. I apologize in advance for the tone of my voice. Like a lot of people at the school, I caught a little something, and that happens the first couple weeks of school. It's just the nature of things. However, I'm going to power through, and hopefully, you get the point, regardless of how my voice sounds. And this concept, division of labor, even if you don't know what that means now, once I explain it to you, I'm thinking all of you will be able to find lots of examples of how this applies. And we started class, if you missed it, with the definition, and it's the division of labor that involves breaking down a complex production process into simpler, specialized tasks, with each worker assigned to a specific task. The specialization allows workers to become more skilled and efficient in their designated roles, leading to increased overall productivity. For example, in a manufacturing setting, a manufacturing means you build something. One worker may focus solely on assembling parts, while another handles quality control, and yet another manages packaging. This method contrasts with a scenario where each worker performs all tasks, which can be less efficient and more time consuming. And just for the sake of hopefully understanding, I'm going to use AIA as an example. I am your social studies teacher. I will not be your science teacher. I will not be your math teacher. I will not make you breakfast in the morning. I will not drive you to school. I will not discipline you if you get in trouble and issue you a detention or a suspension or whatever the punishment is. Now, you can think of those people who do those things, but I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to hopefully get everybody through civics and economics. So everybody has a role. Any organization divides it up. And here's the thing, once you are in that role, you can focus on that and get better at it compared to having to do everything. Okay, so that's the basic gist. And in class, I asked you to fill in these rectangles of who's in charge of what roles need to be what roles need to take place for the school to run successfully. And you can think about that. There's a top person and a person in charge of this and a person in charge of that, and then people beneath them that answer to them, and that person answers to them. And this structure is called a hierarchy, and you're going to see this in the private sector, the public sector, the military. It's all over the place because it works. It's fairly efficient compared to not knowing who's doing what. People have a job, people have a role. Stay in your lane, do it. If everybody does it, it's all well and good. Here's my coaching analogy: football. 11 players on offense, 11 players on defense. If I call a play in on offense, if one person doesn't do it right, the whole thing falls apart. But if 11 players do it correctly, the play runs well. So it's all over the place. Now, related to this is this idea called specialization. Now, specialization in economics refers to the process where individuals, firms, or countries focus on producing a limited range of goods or services in which they have a comparative advantage, which is tomorrow's class. This allows for increased efficiency and expertise as resources are allocated to the production of specific goods or services, leading to a comparative cost advantage over time. Specialization can enhance productivity and is a fundamental concept in division of labor. I'm going to give you an easy one. We all live in Michigan. We do some things in Michigan really well, and we make a lot of it. Cherries. Tons of cherries come from Michigan. Blueberries. We specialize in that. We have lots of land dedicated to growing cherries and growing blueberries. And it's profitable. And the people who have been in these industries for generations and generations, they know how to grow cherries. They know how to grow blueberries. They get really good at it. They specialize in it. And the reason why we have a comparative advantage here, just the soil in Michigan is really good for growing that stuff. Some parts of the world, if you went to Florida, they have oranges. We don't have oranges in Michigan. So you get that. So everybody has a specialization. And you as a human being, when you become an adult in your job, you'll specialize in something. And if you can do it really well, you'll profit and make some money, which I wish for all of you. So here's more of the econ graph side of it. So the question, how does task specialization increase productivity and efficiency? Task specialization boosts productivity and efficiency by having individuals or teams focus on a narrow set of tasks. This focus reduces wasted time, accelerates skill development, and encourages process improvement, leading to higher outputs in time. So on the y-axis, we have cost revenue, and then we have volume. Obviously, if you're in business, you want to maximize this. And when you look at the different levels, you want to get to that optimal level. Now, here's the question: how do you get to this optimal level? You hire good employees, you train them in their areas, and they specialize in something and doing it well so they can produce it Well, here, case in point, if you're not following me, some of you might not. If you were to say, hey, you and the math teacher, or you and the science teacher are going to switch, make all the math and science lessons for next week, I will be incredibly inefficient. If you tell me to do world history, it was going to be really quick and easy, and I know what I'm talking about. So, again, in these charts, you have to, gauge these sorts of things. I'll spare you the details. But again, everybody's looking for optimal output, the most money, the most efficiency. And when people specialize in something and do it well, that's how you get there. That's how you get there. Hopefully, you get that. And what are the benefits and negatives of dividing work in markets and organizations? It's not all positive. So dividing work into specialized tasks allow firms and markets to produce more, faster, and often at lower cost. But it also introduces rigidity, meaning you don't have a chance to really grow or do anything different. And that can get really dull if you're doing the same thing over and over. Coordination challenges and potential impact on workers' skill and satisfaction. I'm going to take you away from the school analogy. For a short time in my life, I worked for Ford Motor Company at the Romeo engine plant assembling engines. And I, for 12 hours a day, sat in a chair and put manifolds on the side of an engine with an air ratchet all day, every day. I didn't get to go to any other task. It was so boring and I couldn't believe it. Now it became very easy. I could do it almost blindfolded. I probably could have done it blindfolded at a certain point. And it made a really good engine. It made an efficient engine. However, that it's rigid. You had to do the same thing. It was kind of dull. So anyway, as an aside, I hope when you are adults, you really enjoy your job. And this is a statistic that makes me a little bit sad. Now, I'm thankful. I really love being a teacher. I am satisfied being a teacher, but a lot of people can't say they really like their job. 62.7 were satisfied with their jobs in 2023. This is the most recent data I could find. 39% of workers say their job is extremely or very important to their overall identity. That means 6 out of 10 people, it's not. I don't know. I don't want to be a sociology teacher here, but more men are satisfied with their jobs than women. I have some theories here, pay equality and treatment on the job. But again, this is not sociology class, even though I'm chopping at the bit. And in terms of overall job satisfaction, these are some things that, um, components with the largest dips: bonuses, health plans, promotions, wages. And it's real simple. If you give people some motivation, if the company does well at Christmas time, we'll give you a nice check. That's going to make people more satisfied. If your kid can go to the doctor and get their pills and it's only a small copay or no copay compared to paying half your check on the orthodontist or the medicine they need. When you have a sense that you can be promoted, that you can rise up and there's hope for the future, and pay me right. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of jobs that I wouldn't like to do cheaply, but if you paid me enough, I can learn how to be satisfied with that job. When I leave work in my fancy car to go to a nice restaurant for a great meal, you know what? My satisfaction goes up. I think you get that. Okay, last slide. And if you missed class, I'm going to ask you to do this yourself. I want you to apply these ideas to yourself. Okay, let's make it tangible to you. Research the job you are considering out of high school. If you're not exactly sure, just pick one. I know I don't expect you as people in 11th grade to know that. But once you figure out that job, find out how it is divided and what specialization, excuse me, is involved in this job. Here, I'll use my wife as an example. She's a nurse, but there's lots of different nurses. There's geriatric nurses for old people. There's pediatric nurses for children, NICU nurses for very sick babies, emergency nurses. So look at how the different divisions are. What is the potential pay? And again, people say money doesn't buy happiness. Money does buy happiness. And if your future job is paying you real well and you go to your nice house in your nice car, you'll probably be a little more satisfied. Three, the best parts of the job. There's no job that's all perfect or all bad, but what's the best parts about it? Number four, find out the worst aspects of the job. That means the worst parts of the job. Five, find out the statistics on job satisfaction and level of attrition. That's a word you may not know. That means people who are quitting. If you have a job where a lot of people quit, it's probably a bit of a red flag. It's a tough one. It's also called burnout. People burn out. I can't do it anymore. I quit, that sort of thing. Six, find the best course of action to take to achieve that job. Do you need trade school, through the military, through a associate's degree, through university? I don't know. That's your thing. And provide your sources of where you got your information and email your answers to myself here. And again, a lot of you have not emailed me. It's a tough name, but once you do so, you'll have that email for the rest of the year. Okay. So hopefully you got the division of labor and you can apply it to yourself. And hope everybody's doing well and take good care of yourselves.